Imagine this. You're 100% sure of something. You saw it with your own eyes. You felt it. You know it happened. But suddenly, someone makes you question everything. Are you sure? That's not how I remember it. You always get confused. You are being too emotional. Little by little, your confidence crumbles. Your reality bends to their version of the truth. And before you know it, you don't trust your own mind anymore. This is gaslighting, one of the most dangerous and effective psychological manipulation tactics. It's been used by abusive partners, corrupt politicians, and ruthless leaders to control people by making them doubt their own judgment. And once someone questions their own reality, they become easy to control. In this video, we are breaking it all down. First, we'll uncover how gaslighting works and why it's so powerful. Then we'll analyze how it's been used in history, politics, and media. Next, we'll dive deep into how gaslighting can be used strategically to gain power. And finally, most importantly, we'll teach you how to defend yourself so that no one can twist your reality. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize gaslighting when it happens, you'll know exactly how to fight back. Let's begin. How gaslighting works. Gaslighting is not just lying. It is a calculated method of psychological warfare designed to wear down a person's confidence in their own reality. At its core, gaslighting follows a structured process. First, I'm going to tell you shortly what the structured process is, and then we'll take a deep example of it. First, establishing doubt. The gaslighter begins by subtly questioning small details. Are you sure that happened? Or, that doesn't sound right to me. At this stage, the goal is not to fully convince the target, but to plant the first seed of doubt. Second, repeated contradiction. Once doubt is introduced, the gaslighter repeatedly denies or contradicts facts, even when faced with clear evidence. The more confidently they deny reality, the more disoriented the victim becomes. Third, emotional manipulation. The gaslighter plays on emotions, making the victim feel guilty, overreact, or irrational. Phrases like, "you're being too sensitive," or "you always get confused," serve to undermine their emotional stability. Fourth, reinforcement from others. If possible, the gaslighter recruits others to support their version of events, making the victim feel outnumbered and more likely to surrender to the false reality being imposed. Fifth, complete control. Over time, the victim begins to doubt themselves to the point where they rely on the gaslighter to define reality. Once this happens, the gaslighter gains complete power over their perception. Let's understand this with a real-world example. The McCarthy-era Red Scare. In the 1950s, Senator Joseph McCarthy led a campaign to expose supposed communist spies in the US government. He made bold accusations, often without proof, claiming that enemies were hiding in powerful positions. His method was classic gaslighting. So we've already discussed the step 1, which is creating doubt. Joseph repeatedly warned that America was in danger, saying things like, "I've in my hand a list of known communists in the State Department." The list was never confirmed, but just mentioning it made people worry and believe the threat was real. Step 2. Changing the story. When people asked for proof, Joseph would dodge the question. If one claim fell apart, he would quickly make a new one. This made it impossible for critics to challenge him because he always had a new accusation ready. Even when people pointed out contradictions, he acted confident, making it seem like his doubters were the ones twisting the truth. Third, emotional pressure. Joseph labeled anyone who disagreed with him as disloyal or even a communist supporter. He claimed that questioning him meant being soft on communism or helping the enemy. This scared people into going along with him because he didn't want to be seen as a traitor. Fourth, support from others. The media, scared politicians, and government officials repeated Joseph's claims. The House Un-American Activities Committee pushed mass fear, forcing people to testify against their co-workers and even friends, strengthening Joseph's false reality. Fifth, taking full control. For a while, Joseph controlled the national conversation. People lost their jobs, were blacklisted, and lived in fear of being accused. Many Americans stopped trusting their neighbors, and Joseph's version of events became the only safe reality to accept. Eventually, Joseph was publicly exposed as a liar, and his power collapsed, but the damage was already done. His gaslighting had changed how millions of Americans saw the world, leaving a lasting impact on history. How to use gaslighting strategically. Although unethical when used to manipulate, gaslighting can be studied as a power technique to understand how it influences perception in debates, negotiations, and high-stakes interactions. Denial as a power play. Simply refusing to acknowledge an event happened can be effective in undermining an opponent's credibility. So if you don't know what this denial means, let me tell you. Denial means saying something didn't happen, even if it did, to confuse or control someone. Let's take a detailed example. Imagine a high-profile legal battle between two business tycoons. One, let's call him Richard, is accused of using inside information to gain a financial advantage. Evidence seems solid. Email, timestamps, and witness testimonies all point to his involvement. But instead of addressing the evidence, Richard uses absolute denial as his primary strategy. In every interview, every court appearance, and every public statement, he confidently asserts, "This never happened. It's a complete fabrication." When confronted with with emails showing his direct involvement, he responds, "This can be manipulated." How do we know they weren't faked? When a witness testifies against him, he calmly states, "People misremember things all the time. I have no idea why they are saying this. Maybe they were pressured." This relentless denial forces the burden of proof onto the accusers. His unwavering confidence causes the public and even some legal professionals to question the evidence. Over time, doubt creeps in. If he were guilty, wouldn't he be acting more defensively? Wouldn't he show some nervousness? His absolute certainty makes people hesitate, allowing him to escape accountability despite overwhelming proof. Misdirection and distraction. Instead of denying outright, redirecting the focus to another issue can confuse the target. Let's take a detailed example. In a heated election debate, a candidate, let's call her Julia, is under fire for allegedly mishandling government funds. Her opponent presents financial records showing missing money, calling her out in front of millions of viewers. The audience is waiting for a direct response. But instead of addressing the accusation, Julia immediately pivots. It's interesting that my opponent is talking about financial accountability when his own business history is full of questionable transactions. Have you all forgotten the lawsuit against him last year? The people deserve to know the full story. Let's talk about integrity, because that's what's really at stake here. By shifting the discussion to her opponent's past, she successfully pulls the audience focus away from her own scandal. The debate moderator tries to steer the conversation back to the original question, but Julia continues pressing her opponent, forcing him to go on the defensive. Within minutes, the audience has forgotten the initial accusation and is instead absorbed in the new controversy Julia has created. This technique works because people tend to focus on the most immediate conflict, and strong emotional reactions override logical analysis. Julia never had to prove her innocence. She just had to make people forget the accusation long enough to escape scrutiny. Exploiting emotional responses. Gaslighters use emotional manipulation to weaken resistance. They provoke anger, then dismiss it as irrational. So let's again take a detailed example. A powerful corporate executive, Michael, is in a board meeting where his leadership is being questioned. A fellow board member, Sarah, presents evidence that Michael has been making secretive financial decisions that benefiting him personally. She is composed and professional, and her findings are damning. Instead of addressing the claims, Michael interrupts her repeatedly. "This is ridiculous. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Honestly, Sarah, I expected better from you." As Sarah continues, Michael raises his voice slightly. "You're always looking for problems where there are none. You're getting emotional again, just like in the last month's meeting." The moment Sarah shows any sign of frustration or anger, Michael capitalizes on it. "See, this is exactly what I mean. You're too emotionally invested. Maybe you should take a break and come back when you can be more rational." Even though Sarah was entirely justified in her claims, Michael successfully shifts the focus from the evidence to her emotional response. Other board members start doubting her credibility, not because her facts were incorrect, but because her actions are now under scrutiny instead of his actions. Contradicting reality with confidence. People tend to trust confident speakers over factual evidence. A famous celebrity is caught in a scandal. There's a video footage of them making inflammatory remarks at a private event. Confronted in an interview, instead of admitting or explaining, they say, "That's not me. That video is AI generated." Deepfake technology is advancing every day, and people need to be careful about believing everything they see. Even though forensic experts confirm the authenticity of the video, the public is divided. The celebrities' sheer confidence in their denial plants a seed of doubt. Soon, their supporters start questioning the credibility of digital evidence altogether. What if this really is fake? What if the media is lying? Within days, the discussion shifts from the scandal itself to a broader debate about deepfake technology, allowing the celebrity to escape accountability. Now let's discuss how to defend against gaslighting. Recognizing gaslighting early is key to stopping it. Here are the counter tactics. Trust your memory. Gaslighters aim to erode your confidence in your recollection. To counter this, keep a journal or take notes of important conversations, agreements, and incidents. Documenting events in real time provides a concrete record, making it harder for someone to distort your reality. Digital records such as emails and text messages also serve as valuable evidence. Having a written reference allows you to reaffirm your perception and protect yourself from manipulation. Call out contradictions directly. One of the most effective ways to dismantle gaslighting is to highlight inconsistencies in a gaslighter's statements. Rather than arguing emotionally, stick to facts and calmly state contradictions. For example, if someone says, "I never said that, but you have a text message providing otherwise," you can say, "Last week you said X in this message. Now you are saying Y. Can you clarify?" This forces the gaslighter to either double down on their deception or retreat. Either way, it puts them on the defensive instead of you. Avoid emotional reactions. Gaslighters thrive on eliciting emotional responses, which they then use as proof that you are irrational or unstable. The key to neutralizing their influence is to remain composed and logical. When faced with gaslighting, take deep breaths, center yourself, and respond with measured words. Instead of reacting with frustration, say, "I see that we remember this differently. Let's focus on the facts." This makes it harder for the gaslighter to discredit you and keeps the power dynamic in your favor. Use third-party validations. When possible, seek confirmation from external sources. If someone is trying to manipulate your perception of an event, ask others who were present what they remember. In professional settings, fact-checking and documentation can expose manipulation. If a boss denies making a promise, having a confirmation email or meeting notes serves as undeniable proof. Politically, independent fact-checkers play a crucial role in countering widespread gaslighting tactics used to mislead the public. Set boundaries and exit the manipulative dynamic. The most powerful defense against gaslighting is refusing to engage in the manipulative dynamic. If someone persistently gaslights you, limiting interactions or cutting ties entirely may be necessary. In personal relationships, this could mean distancing yourself from a toxic partner or friend. In professional settings, it may involve escalating concerns to HR or seeking external support. Gaslighters rely on prolonged engagement to wear down their targets. Removing yourself from their influence ensures they lose their power over you. So let's discuss some final insights. Many historical and fictional figures have mastered gaslighting as a tool of power. Joseph Stalin constantly rewrote Soviet history to manipulate public memory. Machiavelli, the prince, advocates using deception and perception, control to maintain authority. Understanding gaslighting is crucial because knowledge is the ultimate defense. The moment you see through the illusion, you take back control. Those who master perception control wield immense power, but those who recognize manipulation becomes unstoppable. Stay aware, stay sharp, and always trust your reality. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching.